Horror history.
The Chernobyl disaster occurred on April 26, 1986, in Pripyat, Ukraine, marking the worst nuclear accident in history. Despite efforts, the Chernobyl exclusion zone is slowly becoming habitable for wildlife again. However, the animals in the area during the late 1980s faced severe challenges. At the Ukrainian National Chernobyl Museum in Kiev, there's a display featuring a mutated piglet. This piglet, labeled as mutated, was born with a condition called depict, causing its body to split into two along the torso, with duplicated pelvis and legs. Nearly 40 years later, this piglet serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of nuclear disasters on wildlife. Many have attempted to cross Niagara Falls over the years, but Robert Overacker had a noble cause behind his October 1995 endeavor, to raise awareness for the homeless. His plan was to ride a jet ski through the water and then deploy a parachute as he went over the falls, plunging with his vehicle into the river below. However, tragedy struck when his parachute failed to open, leading to his fatal fall from a height of 180 feet. Reflecting on the incident, Niagara Parks police officer Thomas de Tenbeck remarked, "It's like hitting cement." This tragic event serves as a stark reminder of the immense power and danger posed by the falls, underscoring the need for caution and respect when interacting with natural wonders. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima, resulting in one of the most devastating events in history. Nearly 80,000 people lost their lives in the aftermath of the explosion. Amidst the destruction, only eerie nuclear shadows remained of some victims. The bomb detonated approximately 1,900 feet above the city center, unleashing temperatures of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit that obliterated everything within 1,600 feet of the blast zone. Nearly all structures and lives within a mile radius were annihilated. The bomb's intensity bleached the city's exposed surfaces, leaving behind stark shadows where individuals shielded buildings, sidewalks, or bridges with their bodies during their final moments. This haunting phenomenon stands as a somber testament to the tragic events that unfolded in Hiroshima and serves as a solemn reminder of the horrors of war and the devastating power of nuclear weapons. The Stanford prison experiment, initiated on August 14, 1971, by university psychology professor Philip Zimbardo, involved dividing student volunteers into two groups, 11 guards and 10 prisoners. The objective was to observe their behavior within a fabricated prison environment. The experiment aimed to investigate how educated and intelligent individuals could swiftly adopt cruel and sadistic behaviors under specific conditions, shedding light on the fundamental nature of human morality. Within merely 6 days, the experiment had to be terminated due to the alarming behavior exhibited by the guards. They subjected the prisoners to repeated abuse and humiliation, including spraying them with fire extinguishers and forcing them to clean toilets with their bare hands. The study, along with the unsettling photographs captured, offers a sobering insight into the depths of human behavior and the potential for cruelty within us all. Children's Halloween costumes from decades past, ranging from doll masks and bags over heads to terrifyingly enlarged skull get-ups, have created intensely creepy pictures that remain disturbing even today. Welcome to the Horror History. If you enjoy the content, consider hitting that subscribe button so you never miss out on the latest updates. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Thanks for stopping by, and happy watching. During the 1920s, hundreds of young girls and women employed in American watch factories faced extensive exposure to radium, causing them to emit a glowing light in the dark upon returning home. The luminous paint used to coat watch faces contained radium, leading to severe health consequences for these workers. Prolonged exposure resulted in collapsing vertebrae, swollen and disintegrating jaws, and agonizing battles with cancer, ultimately resulting in tragic outcomes for many of these individuals. In 1959, Soviet scientist Vladimir Demikhov accomplished the creation of a two-headed dog. After 23 attempts that resulted in the death of his canine subjects, he achieved a minor success. Demikhov grafted one head onto the body of another dog, connecting their circulatory systems and vertebrae with plastic strings. Following the procedure, both heads retained the ability to hear, see, smell, and swallow. Unfortunately, due to the crude nature of his methods, the dog only survived for 4 days before succumbing. While Demykov's research marked a pioneering effort in head transplantation, ethical debates surrounding such procedures continue to persist among experts to this day. Before American serial killer John Wayne Gacy was apprehended in 1978, he perpetrated heinous acts, torturing, raping, and murdering at least 33 teenage boys and men in his Illinois residence. However, prior to his murderous spree, Gacy led a seemingly normal life. He even worked as a clown at children's birthday parties. Despite his innocuous appearance in earlier photos, the knowledge of his subsequent atrocities makes them undeniably unsettling. On September 20, 1988, Tara Calico vanished without a trace from her New Mexico home. The 19-year-old had set out for her routine bike ride and never returned. Before leaving, she jokingly remarked to her mother about searching for her if she didn't come back. To this day, Tara Calico remains missing. However, in June 1989, a mysterious Polaroid surfaced in a Florida parking lot, nearly 1,500 miles away from where Calico disappeared. Though unconfirmed, the photograph appears to depict Calico based on matching scars and a dog-eared paperback beside her. She is seen alongside a young boy, both bound, gagged, and visibly terrified. While its tale remains relatively obscure, the hotel that served as inspiration for The Shining is as eerie as its fictional counterpart. Long before author Stephen King's visit to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado sparked the creation of The Shining, this Rocky Mountain lodge had already instilled fear in its guests. Dating back to the early 1900s, the hotel witnessed an unexplained explosion in 1911, resulting in severe injuries to a chambermaid. Despite her return to work, reports of her ghost haunting the halls, particularly room 217 where the incident occurred, persisted after her death years later. It was this very room where King experienced his chilling and fateful night at the Stanley in October 1974. Before European colonizers reached New Zealand, the native Māori people were keeping the severed heads of their deceased. This practice was known as moka. The heads were chopped off, boiled, smoked, dried in the sun, and dipped in shark oil before being displayed or paraded around like trophies. However, when the British arrived in the 1840s, they started taking the moka for themselves. Major General Horatio Gordon Roberley, who was part of the British Army during the New Zealand Land Wars in the 1860s, was very interested in the Māori culture. He took at least 35 heads for his own collection, as seen in this old and eerie picture. On December 8, 1980, John Lennon signed an autograph for a fan named Mark David Chapman as he left his New York apartment building. However, just a few hours later, Chapman would fatally shoot the iconic musician when he returned home. As Lennon walked back into the building around 10:50 p.m., Chapman emerged from the shadows and fired 4 shots into his back. Lennon was pronounced dead at Roosevelt Hospital about 25 minutes later. Chapman later mentioned that Lennon had been kind and polite to him during their earlier encounter that night. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest content. Your support means the world to us. Thank you, and see you in the next one.